Hey everybody, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed, the television edition. I am your host, Matt Connarton, the newly shorn Matt Connarton. You know, the joke is they raise your, they lower your ears rather, but I think they raised my forehead on this one. But sitting with me, of course, sticking around is John Hopwood of Ward 13 with John. Or actually, we just finished the Phil Boyd Studs show.
Which I think it's going to be canceled after that debacle.
Yeah, I don't think the network's going to pick that one up, but it was fun anyway. And joining us today is Mike Gill, host of State of Corruption, which I'm very proud to say we are now carrying on IPM Nation 1 Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can hear the show live. And welcome back, Mike.
Thank you for that, too.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we're glad to have you on. And, of course, Manchester residents might know your what do you call it? You don't call it a billboard, right? Because it's animated.
Message center, I would like to say.
Message center?
Billboard.
Right, and the message is complete corruption throughout the state.
Yeah. On the if you haven't seen it, it's right by the mall there. It's on that where the interchange is.
Willow
I guess.
Street
and
the highway.
Right.
Yeah.
You could have seen my Amherst Street one, except for they shot it with a couple of arrows. You could have seen my Plasto one as early as 2 weeks ago, but they blew that up too.
Really?
Right, and they tried to destroy Manchester a couple of times.
I didn't know you had the other ones too.
I did, and I had one in Somersworth too.
Yeah.
That's the last one left. They've destroyed the others.
Like physically destroyed them? Like...
Physically destroyed them.
Oh, wow.
So since you appeared on Joe Lavasse's show,
Right.
you lost another sign.
Well,
I
that
thought
was
you'd lost
Plasto.
two.
Right.
Okay.
I even called it. I said, you know what? It's been running for 12, 13 years without a day's rest.
Right.
But this week, something's going to happen. So unless I'm telepathic
Yeah.
or I know who these people are. And
Right.
you know the problem they're destroying them? Because it's the message on them.
Yeah.
They don't want you hearing that. They don't want you seeing that. Think
Yeah.
about this. If anything that I put... Now, I just said Andy Cruz, Dick Aganos, drug dealers, Bill Greiner, right?
Yeah.
These are powerful people.
Yeah.
You think they'd have lawyers and law firms? I know they own judges too,
Right.
right? And why aren't they taking it off my sign,
Right.
right? Because it is true.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of you saw the 2020 special 2 weeks ago?
I didn't see it.
Well, I'm going to ask you to see it. You
Yeah.
ready? 13,584 cities and towns in the United States. You know which the worst town or city in the United States is?
Manchester?
Manchester, New Hampshire.
So the hippo coverage that Manchester is just not the heroin capital of northern New England or New England, but of the whole Northeast is
Well, let's
true?
take a look at this. 2020
Yeah.
gets to
National
pick out of those 13,000, and they come up with the whole hour of Manchester, New Hampshire.
Wow.
So how's that for number one?
Wow.
I think we had 90 overdose deaths from heroin last year.
How about this? You ready? You know how many we had a few years ago? 8.
Yeah.
More people died in Laconia last year than in Afghanistan. Americans. How's that? Laconia, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Now, why is that? Now, think about this. How is it that New Hampshire, I've lived here my whole life.
Yeah.
How is it that New Hampshire has this problem? Worse than anybody. Would you have foreseen this?
No.
Not in my life.
Not at all, no.
Then how is it possible? Because
Well-
there's always a reason, and
Yeah.
if you don't understand the reason, you got to keep looking.
Yeah.
I know the reason. You ready?
Yeah.
And it's the only reason. In fact, we got Geraldo here because of that reason. Because that's right.
He's
and
right
I
here,
also
not-
got Aaron Brockovich here too.
Yeah. I saw that on Facebook.
That's right.
Yeah.
Here you go. You ready? Here's the answer. Because the law enforcement are partners in the corruption. That is the only way. The 2020 article shows a woman struggling with heroin, holding her baby. You ready? A dealer goes right up to her while she's on camera being interviewed for 2020 and offered her
Wow.
to sell heroin. And here's the deal. So in other words, he was that comfortable
Yeah.
on camera to offer this woman. Now, she did wind up in jail. Her husband wound up in jail.
Yeah.
And where's her baby? You know?
Yeah.
How about this? You see another boy, young guy struggling, and he's hugging his child. He was dead 8 days after they filmed that.
Really?
Wow.
Really. You've got to see it.
I saw a drug overdose at the library, and he was brought back by Narcan.
Yeah.
And I saw somebody die in the army, and you're looking at this, and the guy looked dead. And Richard Danforth, who's always goes to city hall meetings, and he's saying, "Hop, he's dead. He's a goner." That's how he talks. I'm saying, "Geez, And they brought him right back, and then the cop said that was his second overdose of that.
Yeah.
It's
week.
only a matter of time.
Second overdose.
We have betrayed our children. We have betrayed our children. We let those AOT's part of this. Who do you think the same day with Cruz running campaigns for or fundraisers for AOT? She was protecting the AGs, the drug dealers from her position as senator, and when she was the AG. And it's the same thing that's happening now. It is. How about this? Who owns the treatment center, New Hope Treatment Center? How about the drug dealers? They own that too.
Well, the Gatsis brothers, Mayor Gatsis' brother, own a building with a methadone clinic.
Right, and he's corrupt. And it's part of a little Greek connection in town, like a Greek mafia.
Yeah.
Anagos is part of it. So is Gatsis. How do you think this happens? Why are we the worst jobs? Why are we the 49th in the state as far as treatment for heroin? Why are we the worst? Judicial corruption. We get an F. We have been betrayed. The banking department. Now, I just sent 2 more complaints. What I brought here is Justice Department complaints. Receipts.
New
This
Hampshire
is today's mail.
Or DOJ?
Oh, no. Department of Justice in Washington. I don't talk to these crooks. They are protecting them. But here you go, crooks. This makes 87 in 7 days. You know what's happening? It's coming apart on them.
Yeah.
All the size of this is their issue. It'll be their weight that takes them down. It'll be dominoes. What we've got to do is we've got to keep pushing, and it can't be just me, and it can't be just Aaron.
Right.
It's got to be more people coming up and saying, are we tired of seeing our children die? I raised a flag and reversed it. I don't know if you've seen all the video on YouTube.
Yeah, upside down, the distress flag.
It is for dire distress. Americans overrun. If your senators are involved, your AG's office is involved, your U.S. attorneys involved, your richest people in this state are involved. If that's not overrun, what is overrun? This is the federal government. The DEA has known these drug dealers for 6 years. The problem is the captain of the Bedford Police Department, are you getting this? Worked for the DEA, had 300 agents in Pennsylvania. I had the United States Attorney from Pennsylvania send me a message. You know what that message is? No, I said that they were covering up the horse racing thing.
Yeah.
You have to explain. You are a very prominent racehorse owner and handicapper too.
The best in the world. I've won more races than anybody else who ever lived.
Which didn't exactly make you a favorite of the tracks.
No. And considering I was calling them out as corruption.
Yeah.
And now guess what? Now 2010 and 12, I write all of what they've done. Wiring, briberies, so forth. Now you ready? Who said I'm wrong? They're all going to jail now. We've had 40 indictments and more to come.
Right.
Now who says I'm wrong here? And if I am wrong, they take it off the sign. What we've got to do is have the courage to come forward. My life has been challenged twice last week, 3 times this year.
Really?
Right. I mean, a guy with a knife coming in. If someone didn't come in that last moment, this guy was prepared to shoot me in the face.
Wow.
Right. But I ain't backing away. And so in case you guys think I'm running scared, I'm not.
Yeah.
There's too much at stake. You look at that 20 and you see those children and you see their futures being sold.
Yeah.
And then to own the treatment centers, you understand the arrogance that is? You're going to kill the ones who don't die, you're going to still get paid.
You know, without... I'm not going to judge anything right here, but last year, because I have a call on Examiner.com, I was talking to somebody about this city, and I said, do you understand, I saw this happen in New York back in the 70s, and that was a different connection and stuff. But there's a lot of money to be made out of blowing, they used to call it in New York, blow out a city. You can blow out a place like, the
How about a
suburbs
state?
of Albany.
Our state is controlled.
Then you make a lot of money. Drug addicts are you attract them to a place, they're very profitable, just like slum housing is extremely profitable. You get a mattress that costs you $10 from Haiti or someplace, you sell it to the city welfare for $100. There's all scams going on
racket.
in New York.
You know what
and I was saying, this is going to happen in Manchester. I was just people
Going
say,
to happen.
you can't say that about my city and stuff like that. But I say, but it's just a pattern that I saw before.
Yeah.
And now suddenly it seems like instead of opening up businesses, you go to Merrimack, you got BAEs expanding in Merrimack and Londonderry. Here it's everybody's happy about the latest rehab center.
Right,
they take over the furniture store.
It's a whole
Where
industry.
Are we hearing a read?
It's an industry.
How
just
about
like New York.
arrest?
Yeah.
I don't want to hear. Listen. I want treatment and try to save these children.
Yeah.
You want to put the drug dealers away? You want to put these judges in jail that are corrupting, protecting them, these politicians that are taking money and patrolling. What happens when that starts going away? Let's put that money into helping these people and stopping the corrupt and continue to do this. These are the same people about Medicaid expansion. It's the same people. They're still having you pay for it. The next thing you know, you're going to have you're going to have state tax.
Right.
Who's paying for it all? And where are we going? Listen,
I don't-
if they're all, if we
It's
have
true.
the worst drug problem, do you know what we must also have? The worst crime problem too, because these drug addicts have to. I mean, they get to the point where they can't work,
Right,
so they
right.
steal.
Right.
Well, see, there's another
Yeah.
thing I see a pattern of. You're going to bring all these people here, and depending on the election, like say Trump gets elected, the federal monies that are being used, including SSDI and everything, are going to be either cut off or just, what do you call it, throttled down.
Right,
And the
right.
thing is, then people say, "Well, what's going to happen?" I saw that happen too. When you
I say
turn
we
a
just throw them all in jail.
but when you turn a place into a slum, you can make a lot of profits. You
Yeah.
make profit off the property going down. There's a lot of flipping of properties going on in this
Well, let's
city
think
by
about
some
that. Have you
politicians.
guys-
And then in the long term, you or your son, your children, you make a fortune when that property finally booms again.
Right.
Have you guys watched Cocaine Cowboys?
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it.
How about this? What did they do? They own car dealerships. What does Cruz own? Real estate. They own real estate. What were they doing with their money? They were laundering their money in banks. Who owns the banks? Well, they do too.
Right. Right.
How's this? The banking commissioner. The banking commission is protecting the drug launderers. They're putting it in Prima Bank, which Griner, Cruz, and Anagos own. Ain't that a coincidence? Granite State Credit Union, the same banking commissioner who was involved in the Ponzi scheme FRM, he's the CFO of Granite State. So if you would have a problem, you'd be talking to the guy he worked for him.
Right.
How's that? Did you know they're not federally chartered? Right.
It's a state bank.
Right.
State
So the
charter.
state
Right.
checks them
Oh,
and
okay.
don't. There's where the drug dealers is. If the feds come in and believe me, you see these complaints that's calling them out. Why do you think when I called this out, right? 2-3 weeks ago, I said, this is what's going on with the banking commission. Perlow was the banking commissioner. Now, you would think that if I just called him a drug launderer, you'd think he might have something to say.
Right.
Yeah,
This
he
is
did
an
have
odd
something to say.
state.
You know what he said? Goodbye. He retired. Like that.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
how's that? That's not saying you're innocent. So if the feds come in, they audit the banking commission, you get Prima Bank, you get the drug dealers, you get the launderers. So it is possible. In fact, who was Perlow before this? You know who he was?
No.
He was the assistant AG. He's an insurance defender. You know who I reported the Ponzi scheme in 2008 to? The AG's office. You know who I talked to? Perlow. I
okay.
made that guy the banking commissioner. They didn't want anybody else to have the story, see?
Right. Right.
And Walker controlled that in Kakavas. Walker being the president of Divine Millimat. He's the one now working
lawyer.
for Memorial
Law firm.
Hospital. Right.
Okay.
Kakavas was the U.S. attorney.
I remember
Now,
you talking about him before.
We got to be
Chicago,
careful.
so-
We don't have your capital. We can't defend ourselves.
Well, these are all my words.
Yeah. Yeah.
And guess what? None of them sued me yet.
I just
In
want
all
to,
these years. Why is that?
without saying anything about the validity of this, I just want to say this is the oddest state. I left Manchester in '78 and came back in 2010. I lived in California, New York, Massachusetts. I've never seen a place that everything's covered up, even small things. Everything's covered
Small
up. It's
things
like
could go
Peyton
to big
Place.
things.
But it's
Right.
like Peyton Place. You catch somebody, and Matt, and talking about little things, little corruptions and stuff, and everybody on both sides of the fence.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Listen, I only have an ad for $10 million for an attorney for 2 years. I haven't had a call yet.
Yeah.
Now, what do they all know that you don't?
This is an odd
you
state.
think all of a sudden
an odd city.
it's not
too.
an odd state? It's completely and totally corrupt.
Well, I
the
remember
size
New
of
York
it made
in
it
the
potential.
70s.
McLean
Yeah.
Law Firm, Wiggins and Norrie at the time, Divine Millimat, Shaheen and Gordon. They own your estate. Listen, Shaheen has her own law firm.
Right.
You don't
yeah.
think they profit by that, do you?
It is stunning that you have these names on your electronic billboard
For years.
for years now, and none of have any of them ever really tried to sue you for anything? Or
No.
wow.
No. And they
Yeah.
won't. And it's not like I don't ask them to. I'm
Right.
asking you again.
Right.
If you're innocent, why aren't you?
Right.
But this is why I've made it obvious. I've
Yeah.
made it this obvious on purpose. We have got to get people to stand up and understand this is family court. Title 4D money. Does anybody know what that is?
No.
Wow. They don't want you to know what that is. You know what it is? It's matching federal funds for child support.
Okay.
They're stealing all of it. I've got 5 names of representatives on the family committee that have written to me to give to the Department of Justice saying they are stealing that money. The GALs are corrupt. The judges are corrupt. There's hundreds of millions of dollars that they're stealing and they have no accounting for, and they're using it on the backs of our children. Think about this.
Well, it is an industry. Poverty's an industry.
Yep.
Welfare's an industry. They're turning the VA into
It's an obscenity.
It is obscene.
It's an obscenity. You know what? You see
Taking
these
profits,
DCYFs. You see these children, right? Now, when they take them away, you don't think they're going to add to the drug business of having broken homes, do you? Exactly.
Right.
They're feeding the machine. They're using your children. This is greed.
That's
All
true.
of the money. Listen, I put things on stateofcorruption.org. I put them in pieces. I showed you where they go. Where have I been wrong? Name one. Listen, and you know one? If one time I am, you'll know about it.
Yeah.
Because that's the time you're sued.
Right,
No one's
right.
suing me. You just got to be right.
Well, you're talking to a legal editor now. Sullivan v. New York Times, they would rebut, well, I'm a public figure, and I'm not going to sue you because the standard, because I'm a public figure, is so
Really? What's Aganos?
high.
He's a drug dealer. That's what he is.
Well, he's not a public figure, is he?
Oh, no, I disagree.
I'm just saying what the
They are very
argument
public.
would be.
Yeah.
Who owns
No,
the
but I
building at
mean
the Elliott
technically-
Hospital? Wow.
Is that-
Yeah.
Him? How's that? How's fentanyl getting out? It's a synthetic form of heroin.
okay.
If you own the
Yeah.
treatment centers and the hospital, you could get it. What are they dying of? Fentanyl? Right. What do you think they're getting it from? It's not too hard to put these together. I put them all together for you.
Yeah.
Showed it to you. Had my life threatened a few times.
Yeah.
But they can't take it off the sign.
Yeah.
And we can't.
Because of the First Amendment. But didn't somebody complain about the sign because of the language?
Oh, the S
some
heads.
word.
Yeah.
We're
Oh,
going to
that,
call
yeah.
poopy heads. Right.
Right.
So
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
think
Yeah,
about
we're not at night, so
Right, right.
we don't get away with
Let's
stuff.
think about that. Poopy head, and we have the Union Leader,
I
Telegraph,
remember seeing that.
Channel 4 News, MUR, and you see me with the Channel 4 person.
Yeah.
We were having that
Right.
videotape that I was interviewed. I'm
Yeah.
going, do you want to talk about heroin? Oh, no, we'll get
No,
back
it's
to
all
that.
about the
Do you want
sign,
to put
yeah.
extortion? No, you want to hear about Shaheen extortion? No, poopy head.
Yeah,
How about
that
all
is what
four
it
of
was
them?
all about.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
The media is part of this mess. The Manchester Union leader's worthless. They sold the Boston Globe for $100 million, right? They sold the building
Yeah.
for $78. That means the Boston Globe is worth $22 million. Now, what do you think the Union leader's worth?
According to Trump, not much at all.
Right.
How about poopy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Without USA Today, I don't think it'd be.
But do you know
alive.
why they have it?
Why?
PR.
Yeah.
They attack me. If you attack me, you attack the message that I'm giving.
You mean
Right.
the union leader? Actually, I stopped the union leader a long time ago. They actually attacked you? Did they give
Of course.
criticism?
How about this? The sign. How about the Nashua Telegraph? Back up a story from
Telegraph.
6 years ago. Here's the
Yeah.
deal: you build them up, you tear this down.
Oh, that's the media,
You make
definitely.
Cruz the dealer of the year. Right? Ain't that the dealer of the year? Pump them up. Right?
Right.
They got them taking pictures in front of the treatment centers. They got them in homeless shelters. They're the ones putting them in the homeless shelters.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say? Chief Willard of Manchester just got put on a task force, federal task force.
Right.
really?
Is
The
that-
most corrupt, they get promotions. Ayotte covers their bacon, Shaheen's bacon at the AG's office for FRM. She moves up to senator. And you know what they do? You don't think they put these? They just pump you up in the press.
So
and
you
all
would
thing.
you would claim that Chief Willard is a client of Ayotte or whatever.
Well,
you
I'm going to tell you
ally or
this. We have the
something?
worst heroin problem in the country. And he just happens to be the police chief to the Manchester where it is. So this guy has to be the worst police captain in the country, right? Does he sound like he deserves a promotion, or does he sound like they move him on up to keep their mouth shut? Well, I keep rattling the cage, and where are they?
What about that drug czar? I forget his name.
He resigned, didn't he?
He resigned because he wasn't doing anything. Like he was treating it like a figurehead
Nobody
position.
wanted to do anything. That's the impression I got.
How
Well,
about
it
this?
sounds like there may be a
Nobody
reason.
wanted to do
Well,
anything.
there is a reason.
Yeah.
Listen, you don't ask the question when you know the answer.
Right.
No one's asking questions. No one. Listen, all those papers coming in wouldn't mention the word extortion or heroin dealers, even though in the town that I'm in with the sign is the city with the worst problem in the country.
Well, it all comes
Yeah.
like, this is the thing about the heroin we were talking about before the show, and I'm not going to say what it's just like it's magically here. That they're, in the old days, they knew there was a route from from Iran to Marseille to Montreal, which they had a hell of a mafia up there. And it came down, what is it, 87, New York, and fanned out over 90. But now it's just like, it's just here. And they just say Mexico.
The DEA
Yeah.
knows how it gets here.
Nobody talks about how it gets
DEA
here.
knows
Yeah.
for 6 years.
And why here?
Why here? Because we are the most corrupt. No one goes to jail. It's safe. How's that? Free enterprise.
If
Yeah.
you're a panhandler, you go to jail and die, I guess.
Well, you know something.
Yeah, that's true.
Or if you
He
turn
won
around and tell
he
them
won
it's
too
corrupt,
many
then you're
cases.
dangerous.
He won too many cases.
Right. Have you noticed how all these
That's not
deaths,
just
sudden
satire,
deaths come
folks.
back to be investigated? The state senator was murdered.
Oh,
How about the guy who, the pain management doctor from Elliott Hospital who died? They're going to relook at that. How about the
Really?
town manager of Bedford who suddenly died? They're going to maybe assume his body.
I
They
didn't-
killed them all. There's the truth. This is
Or
as
they
dark
OD'd.
as possible. There is
Yeah.
no other explanation. The feds come in here, and that's 87, by the way, in a week.
So when you get these, are these acknowledgments of the complaints that
Yes.
you've filed? Okay.
And that they're investigating.
Okay.
So here we
Wow.
go. Right. That's why they don't touch me. Because they know. No, they did try to kill me. How about this? You want to know who's dealing, drugs? It was a Russian nationalist in January that tried to kill me at the hotel.
You mean a Russian national?
Right.
Right.
At the hotel.
Citizen
Now,
of
now
Russia.
the thing here is, people want to say, "Oh, that's not true," over the top. We have a video, right? A security video.
Yeah.
Miami police were there too. That's exactly what I'm saying. The problem is he was breaking in, and I opened the door while he was breaking into the door. Now, you think when I said he was trying to kill me, he smiled in front of these. Now, what I'm saying is
Wow.
on video, and
Yeah.
I'm getting permission to release that video. So you tell me what this is. That's
Yeah.
exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
We've been sold out by the AG's office. They're the cover team. When they find a story, they're the ones who go out there. Dick Tracy, Dick Head.
Well, I was telling you once again before the show, I was out in California from 89 to about 2004 when I went to New York, 2003. But I was out there for 15 years. And there was a lot of talk that the crack cocaine, which was the big thing then, there was a CIA connection. Now, the editor-in-chief of the San Jose Mercury News, which was an excellent newspaper, published that story. And there was a lot of kickback. He got sacked, as they say in England.
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
fired. And when I was out there, but as long as it was focused on the African American and the ghettos.
Interesting.
But he was an
Yeah.
African American himself. So when you're talking about this, I remember this distinctly in California. It's almost like balloon notes, for mortgages. As long as you keep them in the African American community. But once they go white middle class, it becomes a big issue. So I'm not unfamiliar with this and
This-
the people
this is-
talking about that.
I gotta tell
and
you.
seriously, it was seriously talked about in California.
Oh, I understand. This
The
thing in New
federal
Hampshire,
connection, yeah.
I defy anyone to have this. It's the size of the state. It was the
It's the
corruptness
size of
and
the
the handle
traffic,
of the people. It's Gene Shaheen. It's McLean Law Firm. They control. Who are your judges? They come from those law firms. Who are your Superior Court judges? They come from those law firms.
Yeah.
They are protecting one another. Anything to do with banking, I filed a banking complaint, right? It's going to go to Judge Anderson. Now, how do I know that? Because he's the one who replaced McHugh that covers the banking commission, that covers the drug dealers and the laundering of the banking commissioner. Now, watch. They haven't assigned a judge. Just a lucky guess.
Right.
But I guess the sign was going to break, too.
It's technically supposed to be random.
Oh, random. I'll give you random. And that's it.
I have friends who are
And if they
lawyers.
appeal the
They're
case, it goes to the Superior Court in LaPlante. He does them.
Right.
He knocks them off. They have a system. I
Yeah.
uncovered the system. I showed you what this is. This is what I need to have people understand.
Yeah.
Most people know there's corruption, and they follow up by saying, what can we do about it? I am telling you right now, we can do it. I am telling you the DEA knows. I am telling you the Department of Justice knows. The part of this equation that has to come into place is people have to care. Listen, if your children are a drug addict, maybe in time, but somebody else is. If you're going through a divorce, if you're going to trial, everything is corrupt in this state. They are cheating us. They're cheating us in all aspects. That Title 4D money, they're stealing millions from us. This is the business of corruption in New Hampshire. So what I want to say is this. Please come forwards. I'm meeting people every day.
Yeah.
But you got to believe we can beat them. I mean, the insidiousness thing about it is they made you believe it was impossible to win. Well, here's the biggest lie. Why do you think I put what I have on my sign? You know why? Because I'm confronting this evil. I am telling people, you don't have to be afraid of these people. I'm not going to be afraid. I am going to go right at these people, and I'm going to would hope people follow courage and say, listen, we can do this. This is who they are.
But you're a person with a reputation, and you've took on corruption in the racing industry and stuff.
Yeah.
This is part of your character. I come here to New Hampshire, and Matt's heard... Why is everybody so passive here?
Yeah.
Why are people
fear.
so
It's not passive, it's fear.
Do they go to Boston if you've got some cojones, or whatever?
How much, I mean, you've had your life threatened. You've had other harassment too, right? Like I watched the video online of you're having a conversation with a cop from Plastow. And the cop looks like, I commented on the video. I said, the cop looks like he just wants to go back to writing
how about
tickets.
this?
He looks
Here's the cop.
in over his head.
I just gave him text messages, ready, that threatened to murder each one of my children individually, which I have 5, okay?
Yeah.
My daughter by name, okay? My son where he moved to.
Wow.
I gave him, do you remember what he said? I said, would you investigate this? Like if it was your children being murdered.
Right.
I'll look into it. No,
Yeah.
we went over there 7 times. Well, here's the difference
Was he a
between
detective?
look and investigate.
No, he was in a uniform.
He was a captain. He's the
Okay.
captain. Guess
he's a
what?
captain.
Here's the
That's
difference
pretty
between
good.
look. Look means they're not going to do anything,
Right.
even though they threatened to murder my children. And you know what else was in those texts? Talking about the judges, talking about who's corrupt, what corrupt. This guy was an insider. You know why they can't come up and do anything? Because they'd have to act on that. So
Right.
I gave it to him. But you know what I did? As I gave it to him, as you seen in the video,
Yeah.
remember I also said I give him this to the Department of Justice?
Yeah.
I did, with his name on it. So now, Captain, you've got it too.
Yeah.
There it is. It is a cover-up. How about this? The guy's a captain of the police department. And how about the captain we just talked to about Manchester? Now, I have drug dealers on the sign, right? Do you think that captain went, hello, can you show me the evidence on there? Why haven't they? Why didn't the captain there? Why was he so defensive?
Yeah.
Remember I said, did you see the sign? Did you see I said extortion? You see that? He goes, no. Oh, nice detective work. You
Right,
only
right.
drive by it every day for,
Right.
what did he say, 17 years? Nice job.
Yeah.
Hey, I reported about a fix on the Manchester mayoral election. Did one person ever talk to me about it or anything? You just ignored. No,
Yeah.
he's a nut. And since I'm an Army veteran with PTSD,
Right.
Well, you know what?
sometimes
I'm
I
crazy.
do get out of hand.
Right? I was only the best handicapper in the world. Does that sound like a guy crazy?
But you know, they do.
I only made a few $100 million and built the biggest
have
mortgage
quite a
company in the United
reputation.
States.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
find me a couple of people who have done that.
Yeah.
How many number ones you find? And I'm from New Hampshire, world champ, and you know racing.
Oh yeah,
Right.
I was brought
I was-
up in it.
I was the biggest guy in racing.
Yeah.
Right there it is. So how did I just stumble around from being in a seminarian to be a priest to being homeless and then turn around and do this? It's insight.
Yeah.
The same insight that sees what they're doing. You know what happened? I'll tell you what they told me. They said, let me get this right.
Who are we talking about, though?
This is one of the lawyers from the corrupt guy named Jenkins who came to meet me.
Yeah.
He said, cursed by brilliant insight, condemned by moral conviction. And he walked out of the room.
I understand.
And you know
that,
what?
Yeah.
It shook me. Because you know why it shook me? My enemies know me so much better than the people I'm trying to help. The people I'm trying to help are the ones who will say, oh, Mike Gill. Listen, I'm already rich, right? I was already, what do I want in this? Do I sound like a politician running for governor? I'm running for governor.
Yeah, we should mention that too as an independent.
running for governor as an independent to put these people in jail. I'm
Yeah.
not playing games.
Yeah.
This is it. Well, and I do have a few immunity requests, and they know it. And so does Department of Justice knows it too. So this is possible. So reaching
Yeah.
out to people, please. What we're doing is investigate.
Yeah.
Think about this. If we investigate and I'm wrong, they all get to sue me. Everybody wins but me.
Right. Right.
Right? But if it is true, we just sent a message to the corrupt, the drug dealers, the corrupt judges, the corrupt law firms, and we just sent another message to the people in this country saying we can do this.
Yeah.
We can fix and confront this corruption. What I did in racing was the same morality. They were cheating people by wiring money. It's organized crime.
Right.
I only
That's
caught the
federal
wires
statute.
coming
Yeah.
up here. That was your Wynn Casino. Do you know why Wynn Casino didn't go up there? Because I reported the wire service. Know where they were coming to and from? The mob. Now, who did get arrested from that? As far as that crazy, right? It was the Costa Nostra in New England. They only made the front page of the Boston Globe, just like I said.
They still exist.
Of course they do. Denacia Light Body. They called them the Costa Nostra. They called themselves the Costa Nostra. That was the front page of the Globe.
Wow.
You know who believe corruption doesn't exist? You know who does? The corrupt.
You're right. Right.
Right.
To them,
They'll
it's
tell
just-
you that.
To them, it's just a way of life.
Well, it's systemic, so
Right,
they
right.
just adapt to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
exactly.
no mob, no mafia has ever run so well as the state of corruption in New Hampshire.
Huh.
They cut out the middle guy.
Yeah.
What did they own? They own the papers? Well, they own the papers. They own crooked attorney. Well, they own crooked attorney. Did they own judges too? Yeah, and the cops, right. How's that? We missing anybody?
That's everything you need.
Boom. Well, you got the treatment centers now.
Right,
They
right.
they get a little innovative. And worse
Yeah.
yet, they turn around and have their shills come in and pass bills like Medicaid expansion. Because somebody's got to pay for all their millions. They're going to make more drug addicts. That's why they want more money. They're running out of money. They'll get you more.
So how difficult has it been to kind of, because it seems like, I mean, has Channel 9 had you on to discuss all of this, for example? I mean, has mainstream media paid any attention to you, or is
Of
it?
course not, because they know 100% that I am right. You
Yeah.
don't think I've talked to the Globe and all of them? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've talked to all of them. When I
Yeah.
talked to corruption on ESPN, they only had me on the radio. I was their highest radio program ever, and they had me on next 3 weeks. I was number 1, number 2, and number 3
Wow.
across the country. You don't think people in horse racing know what I'm telling the truth?
Yeah.
My reputation in horse racing is they know I'm telling the truth and I've been right. This
Yeah.
decoupling all these racetracks is exactly what I said. I did a video all about it. You can look at all the videos on stateofcorruption.org the last few years. I brought them along the whole thing. Tell me where I'm wrong one time. I told you this one. How about this? U.S. Attorney Kakavas, I said he was a crook. He resigned. Oh, Richard Head, the assistant AG, I said he was a crook covering up. He resigned. Furlow, I said he was a drug launderer from the bank. He resigned. I
Yeah.
mean, I got a magic wand here. I just point you and you disappear.
Yeah.
Richard Head's in California.
Hey, the Dunphy family. Dunphy family used to own the racetrack. Was it Bay Meadows and San Mateo? And we won't talk about that though. the jockey.
Well,
they
it is
found,
corruption
They found
in it.
under the San Mateo Bridge a year later.
No
they
kidding.
turned it into a big real estate thing. 'Cause
Who do you think's moving into
those were some
Rockingham
corrupt tracks.
We got an empty racetrack now, don't we?
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
We got a casino bill. Now, guess what? You know who's sponsoring the casino bill? Representative LaChance, another freshman rep. Do you know who did the cannabis bill? He did. And do you know where they want the cannabis, all the pot to be sold out of?
Where?
The treatment centers. We're going to keep that business too, right? Now, who put on the casino bill? Uh-oh, LaChance again. Right. He's a shill. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He was a cop in Bedford for 10 years.
That's true,
In the
yeah.
base of corruption. That's who he is. And think about this casino bill. Who's going in there? It is the mob. It is Penn National. And who did they buy out? With these guys.
Now, can you describe what is Penn National? I
Penn
think a lot of
National
people don't really
Gaming.
know that.
They
Penn
own
National Gaming.
multiple racetracks. You know what they did? They went into starving racetracks, closed down racetracks. Tell them they're going to help with the
Right.
horses, bring them in. The next thing you do, you got casino gambling. The next thing you got
Hollywood Park.
right,
Yeah, Hollywood
and then they
Park
kick
is
out
now-
the horses.
That's the end of horse racing.
There you go.
My
Yeah.
father was there with Bing Crosby back in
Right, and who
1947.
said that in
No
the video in 2012? Told them exactly what was going to happen. What
Now
I'm
it's an
saying
even
is on the
bigger
internet.
casino.
And guess what? It's all happened. Now it's decoupling.
Yeah.
They're coming here. You know what comes here with them? drugs, criminals, illegal wire service, gambling schemes. And you know who's going to be on it? The same corrupt people. You know, these guys are running card games now. Who's going to arrest them?
Right.
We haven't heard about card games?
Well, I've been told there's more illegal gambling in Manchester and New Hampshire as it was even in the olden days.
Now you think about
Sure.
this. You bring in Penn National. You know what you bring in? A wire service. You know what I
Right.
get credited for in Pennsylvania? They shut down all the OTBs now, didn't they? You know why? Because I turned around and couldn't figure out where they were using the Cantor Gaming wire service. How were they wiring money? For instance, if you had a 5-to-1, say you have a 10-to-1 shot, say, at Penn National.
Yeah.
You bet $500 that horse goes off at 8-to-5. But if you bet it offshore, it stays at 10-to-1. So that 5,000 horse, you just made $50,000. Wow, not bad. So you know what
Yeah.
Rockingham gets? The same wire service from Cantor Gaming. So you know what they do? They bet their money there, they fix the rest there, and they don't
Oh.
report the taxes, and they bet it offshore. And there it is.
Oh, wow.
And you know what? They use the same wire service to bribe cops, state troopers that I also rocked back to Massachusetts, right? They didn't say it was wrong. They just shut down every single OTB in the state. Now, how's that? Now, that's a
Wow.
fact, and that's on the internet.
Wasn't the Annenberg family from Pennsylvania? Annenberg was he was a billionaire, TV guide and everything, but his father ran the wire service for the mob back in the 30s.
Oh, no
so
kidding.
lucrative, the guy became a billionaire.
Oh, wow.
We're bringing, the criminals
Yeah.
of this state are bringing the wire service and that. There isn't
I
going
didn't
to be
realize it was that
anything-
lucrative stuff.
Well, they don't want to tell you.
Right, right.
You know what they do?
Because so
They
much
have
is
them buy
offshore.
it.
Remember-
Then they get casino bill. Now think about that. And think if they wanted to launder drug money. How's that for a place of laundering drug money? This is all connected. Listen,
Yeah.
you couldn't put all these pieces together and not have them connected.
Right.
They are controlling everything criminal in this state. And if we don't come together on this, they own the state now. I am not, we are in deep.
You know, it's interesting. You go up to Concord, and I noticed it a few years ago. There's the Union Bank of Switzerland, the most notorious money launderer in history.
There's one in Concord?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
You know, this is all established
Well, how about this?
legally,
They
yeah.
started their
yeah.
own banks because they don't trust anybody.
Right,
UPS
right.
is in
How about we do
Concord.
this? Simple thing, right? We audit the banking department and those two banks.
Right.
Let's see what happens there.
Yeah.
How
Right?
would you get that through the 400?
They all go to jail.
How would you get that through a 400-person legislature? You know, that
Right.
legislature.
Forget them. You know what? Most of them are corrupt. Listen,
Most of them
this
are
is what
clown.
happens.
I call it the clown college.
Yeah.
Well, this is what happens. The chair and the co-chair, they always own. How about this? The woman, Deborah DeSimone, who's the chair of Family Court Committee,
Yeah.
do you know what she does for a living? She's the director of a family service company. Wow. I mean, wouldn't they get money from Title 4D? Right. So the woman in charge of stealing is the chair. Let's not forget, one of the reps who just got arrested, Tasker, right?
Yeah.
He's on the family court. A single
Yeah.
guy who's a pedophile trying to lure a girl. Well, that seems like a person that I want on my family court committee that can sympathize the loss of children.
Yeah.
Right?
He
She
has a
is
unique perspective, right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
They
Yeah.
are stealing that money. That is the business of family court. That's why people don't know. Why is that? And the insurers, like Liberty Mutual, is right behind them. You ever heard of a thing called Made Whole Act?
No.
No.
Okay, you ready? If you get in a car accident, not your fault.
Oh, yeah, to be made whole, right. Damages.
Well,
Except they
your
really
car gets repaired.
Yeah.
But if it's a major accident, you had a $40,000 car, maybe it's worth $30 now because of the accident. You have to report the accident, right?
Yeah.
Did you know that they have to pay you that $10,000 by law? Now, I only got that from the VP of Liberty Mutual, who sold Liberty Mutual because they asked him to lie. He went in a deposition in Montana at Liberty Mutual lost on the Made Whole Act. Guess what? New Hampshire has that Made Whole Act, and nobody gets their money. How's
Okay.
that?
Wow.
You know who's backing them? Divine Millimat, McLean.
Excuse me.
They're saying it. So when they did sue him, you know who got the case? Judge LaPlante. How's that? And you know who originally represented them? Kakavis,
Okay.
the U.S. attorney. So here's
Yeah.
this. You are to be paid those damages or the loss of value in your car to be made whole. They're stealing it, I mean, in every area. You can't point to an area. Department of Education. How about this? I was speaking to many victims. This one victim had a 12-year-old daughter who was attacked by a teacher. This teacher was the wife of the principal. Turns out she didn't have a teacher's license. She was an aide. In fact, they got 15 aides with 98 students.
Wow.
Right.
It's a money grab. It's a federal. She went to Ayot's lawyer and Ayot's assistant. You know what they said? If we say anything, we'll lose our grants. It's a money grab. It's all lying.
Yeah.
What's
And
an
if the
industry?
AG's office is corrupt, like I said,
Yeah.
they are the monitoring device of all these agencies. The DRA is corrupt. They've tried to leverage
What's
me.
DRA?
Department of Revenue.
Okay.
That's New Hampshire Department of
Right.
Revenue.
They are corrupt.
Now, and I understand that a U.S. attorney is generally only appointed by the president on the suffrage with the approval of the senators. So a U.S. attorney doesn't necessarily have to be, is not going to be a Department of Justice career, right? It could be anybody, a lawyer, Matt or I were lawyers, we could become a U.S. attorney.
Well, Kakavas did. That's all he was.
And he wasn't
What he really needed was someone that'll follow instructions. Now, listen, let's think about this for instructions. Kakavas becomes the U.S. attorney, so he's in charge of prosecuting the people of FRM, right?
Right, which...
Okay.
yeah.
Now, they didn't send in attorneys in jail, yet they had to lift all the liens. They didn't send appraisers because they had to appraise the house 9 times, right? They didn't send them in jails. Do you know who represented the victims? Mark Howard. Do you know who Mark Howard was? Kakavas' business partner a few months before.
Oh, wow. Really?
How's that for a conflict? They were partners together. But if you're going to be corrupt, you better hope your best friend's on the other side. Now, who did he trust the most in the world?
Yeah.
How about Mark Howard, who buried it, deal of the century, nobody goes to jail, and nobody gets into the banking department because you don't get into the banking department because you get the drug dealers. And there it is.
Wow.
It's like, you know that game to Kevin Bacon? Everything comes
Yeah.
back to the
6
drug
degrees
dealers.
of Kevin
degrees.
Bacon, yeah.
Right.
So do you have any allies in the government, in the state legislature who are helping you? Or
No one's helping. I will tell you this. The 5 reps that were in the family court committee did sign that affidavit and that criminal complaint that went to the Department of Justice. So I say thank you to those 5 brave people.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that when I say the reps, they're not all corrupt, but I will tell you this. The ones that aren't are afraid. I mean, petrified. I talked to them.
Yeah.
Listen, I had a rep
$100
on last week on my show on 107.7, The Pulse, Max Abraham. And what he's telling you is that he's on the committees, and they are corrupt.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
He's telling you the police. He got pulled off of committees for that. So in other words, we are having some brave people, but we need to come out in numbers.
Yeah.
Don't you want... Listen, I'm asking to investigate. What are they saying? Think about this. What do they say? Oh, Mike Gill's crazy. Well, listen, if you had 2 options saying Mike Gill's crazy or Mike Gill's wrong, and I can show you where it's wrong, now what door would you pick?
Right.
So if you can't pick number 2, you're only left with door number 1. Well, how about this? Few $100 million, best handicapper in the world. Maybe I'm a pretty good chess player, right? How do you think I caught these guys? Listen, Shaheen did work for me. Kakavas did work for me. Walk it. They're a bunch of bootlickers. They're no one to be afraid of. I mean, they are corrupt. If they could make money a different way than stealing it, you would.
See, you have
point.
resources the average person doesn't.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you,
Well, my resource is my life and my courage. That-
you can afford the best lawyers. I'll tell
Really?
you,
$100 million, I can't get one.
Yeah. Good point.
if you could.
Good point.
If I could, I can't get a bad lawyer. Listen, I had a lawyer one time that all his experience was making pizzas. Mike Perusis.
Yeah.
Right, and I caught him.
Oh, really?
Right.
Jeez. Wow.
How easy for them to corrupt the lawyers. Here you go. You ready? They control the PCC. So they turn around and say, hey, you want to help him? We're going to pull your license. You'll never work again.
Now, what's the PCC again?
It's the...
Don't have any legal troubles in Connecticut.
No,
Talk about
it's
corrupt.
the review of lawyers for wrongdoing.
Okay.
Well, a lawyer can't. A lawyer, you'd have to rob a very powerful person.
No, you
get
have to
this
help me.
bond.
You have to be moral. You have to turn around and say, I know what's going on. Now think about this. What lawyers are saying I'm wrong? But here's the thing.
Well, New Hampshire, they ignore everything's behind closed doors.
It's controlled
amazing.
because it is. It's because they don't
From
want
the-
to see what's
From
going
the
on.
tiniest city committee
Yeah.
all the way up.
Yeah.
People don't talk
Because
about
this is the
anything.
worst. I am telling you, the worst kept secret in America.
Yeah.
Who knows? Listen, everybody who works in the banking commission, shame on you because you know. Every woman, every person, who works in the AG's office, You know. Shame on you.
Yeah.
Department of Education, the DRA, all of you. What is the biggest what is the biggest voting bloc in this state? The employees of this state. The credit union that's corrupt, Granite State, is them. What are they all afraid of? Their jobs.
Yeah.
We have state troopers on recording saying, I'll be a whistleblower, lose my job. But we have one recording that the state trooper turned around and threatens to murder, and then turns around and said, just like they had murdered the senator. Now, we do have a tape of that, in case anybody wants to know. And it is with the Department of Justice. How about this? They admitting to murder.
Wow.
And with the threat is to continue to murder.
Now, this state has a very weak whistleblower law, and I proposed to City Hall
It's weak
that we should have
whistles.
a municipal whistleblower law. Nobody cares. Nobody's into it. I offered to bring down one of the top, probably arguably the top whistleblower attorney in the world to Manchester. He'd come and they'd help the city of Manchester craft a municipal whistleblower law. Do you think anybody cared? Do you think anybody cared? And you can see me, in public meetings.
You know what?
Yeah.
People don't know, or they would care.
Because if you
And
did
now I'm
have a
asking
whistleblower law, a strong one, these people could come forward. Even when there are strong laws, a whistleblower gets. We've had that on my show, Ward 13.
Yeah.
They get hit so bad.
Well, look,
Oh, yeah.
Did you see Black Gold with Dave? Right? They did. Who's Aaron
Gold?
Brockovich is coming.
Yeah.
So, Dave, what he pointed out was this illegal dumping. They were dumping chemicals into the Merrimack River, the same chemicals that are creating dead spots in the ocean. They're putting it in a cornfield.
Yeah.
All right? In this cornfield, it feeds 220 cows. That milk goes to Hood and goes in your kids. So they're putting it in there. So Dave, who lives a mile and a half into the woods, before anybody sees it, has been seeing this and videotaping it for many years.
Yeah.
He sent it to Shaheen. He sent it to AOT. He sent it to MUR, all the papers. Nobody did it. He talked to me on the radio. You know what I did? I went out there, talked to him. Guess what? He's 100% right. And what they're doing now with Dave, they're saying, you got to leave. They're kicking him off the property. Now,
Really?
he's been there 22. Well, that's what happens with whistleblowers.
Yeah.
You got
Yes.
to be punished.
Retaliation.
Yeah.
That's why you need the law, a strong law.
Now, think
Yeah.
about this. Orrin Reno served him with a sheriff to leave. That's a pretty big lump. And
Yeah.
Dave, 76 years old,
Oh, wow.
got beaten up by the cops for the video, put in the hospital, almost took his thumb off. They had to stitch him up with handcuffs on. The guy's 76, and he's that big.
Wow.
All right? That's the abstract lesson to this. So what they said to Dave is, you got to go. Except for they didn't put the owner's address. Now, you know where the owner turns out to be? He lives in Vermont. You know what business he's in? Waste management. They're dumping their poop on us. And not just that. It's the chemicals from the hospital. It's
Wow.
chemical waste.
Chemical
How
waste,
much
yeah.
money would it be to properly dispose it? Cost a fortune.
Right.
I'll bet you the state is paying a fortune. You know what they're doing? Pocketing the money by
Yep.
dumping it into the Merrimack. Why do you think Erin Brockovich is here?
Yeah.
And what is she saying? The poisoning of the Merrimack River. Who did that but Dave? So Dave, thanks to Dave for saving maybe our children,
Yeah.
is they throw him out on the street, 76 years old.
That's
and I
incredible.
went with Dave to file an injunction. He's there 22 years. So you know what we got to do with our whistleblowers? We got to stand behind them. We've got to. If we let Dave off and don't help Dave, it's the message to all these other whistleblowers. Well, I'm there with every whistleblower. I'm going to get Dave's property. He was there 22 years. He planted 100 fruit trees and a house.
Yeah.
That goes beyond squatters' rights to possession.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to see that he gets that property. So the message is, you know what? You're not going to mess with people who are brave enough to come forward.
Yeah.
And Dave, and you see him in court, he goes, the last thing he said to me, and when the judge turned around and said, you could be thrown out any day. You know what he said to me? On camera, by the way. And he's not the one he didn't even know about Facebook. You
Yeah.
know what he said? I can feel good about this because at least maybe the kids will be saved. This is a 76-year-old man. I mean,
Yeah.
he was an old logger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you want to look at New Hampshire, this guy is New Hampshire. And he put these people first because he knew what they were doing. You see him dumping asbestos. You see him dumping the waste in the river.
Wow.
Now, is there any media coverage of this?
No.
That's incredible.
That doesn't surprise
I wrote
me.
to Erin Brockovich and she came here.
Yeah.
Where's the media? In fact, he went to each media outlet before.
And let's, somebody won an Oscar portraying Erin Brockovich.
Right.
Yeah.
Geez, she was such a
Julie Roberts.
Julia Roberts, yeah.
right.
How about
So
this?
this was a this
Do you
is
know
a
who the owner
superstar
of that
whistleblowers.
property is? You know what that woman happens to be and do? Oh, she's the chair of the Water Pollution Board of the state.
Oh, great.
You can't make it
Wow.
up. So who would
That's
you
incredible.
report the dumping to?
Having been involved
Her.
in whistleblowing, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me either. But what surprised me is that it's so obvious and we let it happen.
Yeah.
They're poisoning our kids. They're giving them drugs. They're not. I mean, all those children go. I mean, think about all the people in New Hampshire getting out of college. Where's the jobs? Why do you think jobs won't come here? We're the worst job creator
Yeah.
in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, they make more cowboys in Wyoming than they do people coming here.
That's why the young people leave when they graduate. There's no jobs.
And you know what? I'd tell them to leave.
Yeah.
And there's no hope. That's what you do. You want drug addicts? Take away their hope.
Right.
Take away business. Take away jobs. That's how you do it.
You know, I was knocking on doors because I ran for state rep, and a person from the Wall Street Journal wanted to go knocking on doors because she heard about it. And we went knocking on doors, and in the old squat, Granite Square, and somebody had fixed up a house, and she said, "Oh, Manchester's so well situated next to Boston, and you have a rail link. People must be gentrifying." And I said, "No, no, they're not. We don't have a rail link." She couldn't understand it. Because
Yeah.
she couldn't understand Manchester because 55 miles from Boston with its cost of living, all its regulations, everything. In her mind, coming up from New York, well, this would be an ideal place to be like what Oregon is to Silicon Valley. Well, first in Silicon Valley, you had up in Seattle, and then in Oregon. Why didn't New Hampshire turn into Boston North? Where are the high-tech jobs, the 21st century jobs?
Because
I just
speak
don't
with
understand
business
it.
owners.
Yeah.
USA Springs was coming here. You ready? They were going to hire at least 300 employees. They had contracts with the United Nations, 70 million, and the contract was for each year for 10 years. Do you know what we have is what we're doing is polluting our waters. New Hampshire has some of the finest water in the world. We have the highest potassium count. It is considered medical quality throughout Europe.
I didn't know that.
Right.
Wow.
That is the new oil. You don't think Shaheen knows about it?
Right.
USA Springs. It's about 2,000 acres. We're building the facility, and Shaheen goes, "I want a piece." Now, didn't you? And they turned around for road access. They denied it. You know what Ferrari and those people said? Forget it. And they turned around and said, "I thought this was the land of opportunity." It was bull.
Wow.
They wanted a piece for that. They have the facility. They bought 2,000 acres. It sits there now.
Oh, wow.
How many jobs would that be? And you know
Yeah.
what they're going to do? You can create, as far as governor, what I would create jobs, like the cannabis bill. I would open it up to the people to be able to create. I would help them with business.
Right.
Show them how to do. Turn around the same thing with water. We could turn around and help you generate your own little bottling cup and do
Right.
it 100-fold throughout the state, create jobs. They're trying to take it all. Have you noticed how certain businesses are monopolizing this? You're not going to have free enterprise there. Why do you think it's so difficult for little business owners?
Yeah.
Because they're robbing. It is extortion.
Wow.
Bill Shaheen, I got a check for $100,000 that you know who cashed? Who got the money? Bill Shaheen for a sign. That's right. That's extortion. And I said on the check, and I wrote it, if you cash it, I'm putting your ass in jail.
Hey, here's a great story.
He cashed it.
Some Angie's List type of competitor called Thumbtack honored Mayor Gatzis for creating the best environment for small businesses in the United States.
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
If you
At
have the worst
Chamber-
heroin problem.
At the Chamber of Commerce, they gave him this award. And, everybody's there. Oh, yes, the mayor, we have to talk about it in a positive way for the city. And it's like, really?
Wow,
Where
that
is
is
Well, this is
stunning.
what you go. I caught Judge McHugh in corruption. You know what they made him? Judge of the Year. Boom.
Right,
They sent him
right.
on his way.
Yeah.
That's
Let's
what
not
they
talk
do.
about FBI corruption.
Yeah, that's
I was down at the
incredible.
National
I went to
Whistleblower
Kofkavis.
Center.
You see the phone and the text message that threatened to murder my children? Do you know what the FBI in Boston and Bedford did? I don't want it. Don't touch it.
Yeah.
You know what I did to them? I go walk through the metal detector. I took my phone, threw it through the metal detector. The cop caught it, walked through, and took it out of his hand. Now I got your fingerprints, ass.
Yeah,
Put it in there. See? How's
Yeah.
that? And they almost attacked me.
Yeah.
Now, we have that, and we've asked for the tapes. They just don't want to give them.
Of course, yeah.
But that's what it is. So the message here is we can do this. We can beat these people.
Yeah.
We just got to stand up.
Well, we got to start to wrap up, but please, everyone, check out State of Corruption.
.org.
.org is the website. And, of course, the show, which is Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can listen to it on IPM Nation 1 live. And, of course, locally, too, on 107.7 The Pulse.
Yes.
Did I get the call sign right? Okay. And you...
I could use a repairman for signs.
yeah, no kidding. Huh?
And
Yeah.
I'm serious about that.
Yeah, yeah.
That is our flag.
Yeah.
That's a message to them that we're not going away. We're going to keep fighting. But I need help, and that's what I need. I need people to come forward. I need people like that to help me to keep those signs on.
Yeah.
I need people to help me getting the word out, getting the message, sharing what this is, and then turning around and uniting and doing this.
Yeah.
I am telling you it's possible, and we are close. And the Department of Justice knows, and the DEA knows.
Yeah. And, of course, you can vote for Mike Gill for governor.
Absolutely.
So
I'll put on a show. For 2 years, we'll make history.
Yeah.
I'll turn around and put up a couple immunities, get a couple federal prosecutors, and believe me, these guys are gutless. I even said it to them. How about this? You ready? All right, boys. Look to your left. Look to your right. You see your buddies? Now, which one will sell you down the river in a half a second? Right. That makes it possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Mike, thank you. Thank you again, John Hopwood, for sticking around. And like I said, check out Mike Gill, State of Corruption, Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern on IPM Nation. And, Mike, we'll have you on again soon because you got a lot going on, that's for sure. So, and thanks, everybody. We'll talk at y'all a little bit later.